Chat. How are we doing tonight? A lot of stuff going on. It's crazy. It feels like I was going to talk about one thing or maybe like two or three things, and then like 5, 6 other things happen. It's almost like you have to pick and choose what you want to talk about when it comes to MLS transfers. Things move very quickly. Things are changing rapidly. And there is a lot to talk about tonight. And there's a lot of Inter Miami stuff. I mean, they've been absolutely killing this offseason. They have been linked with almost every player, and they just keep getting better and better. Mr. How are we doing, my friend? Guys, before we get into this, make sure you guys like the stream down below. It helps us out. Let's try to hit 100 likes. We hit 100 likes on every single one of our MLS transfer streams. This one should be no different. Let's even try to get more than 100 likes. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't. We are 360 subscribers away. 360 subscribers away from 12,000. So make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the first big thing tonight that happened. I heard about this a couple days ago, but I'm not reporting anything. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. So I didn't say anything, but I did hear about this a couple days ago. Michelle Kaufman broke this news earlier today, and we'll talk about it being a little bit refuted. And I'm also going to send my friend Michael, who covers the Vancouver Whitecaps, an invite. And if he happens to be able to join us tonight to talk about this, we'll get his opinion on this. But anyway, Michelle Kaufman reported a club source added that Inter Miami is also finalizing a $2.5 million transfer deal to acquire Tristan Blackman, 29 years old, who started 23 of 25 games for the Whitecaps during the regular season and was named to the MLS All-Star game. Now, Tristan Blackman was part of Vancouver's most historic season, right? They made it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. They made it to the MLS Cup final. This was the most historic season in club history. And Inter Miami are trying to get richer. The rich are getting richer. They're trying to acquire one of the best center backs in Major League Soccer to strengthen their team and make them better than they were in 2025. Soccer Day says Kaufman fell for this. We'll talk about that in a second because I'm going to read this other report. And this is from my friend Michael. He says, sources, Tristan Blackman trade to Miami is not happening, at least as of right now, more to follow. And then Axel, I forgot his last name, but he's like the technical director of the Vancouver Whitecaps, put out a statement saying that they have not agreed to a transfer with Inter Miami at this point. This is essentially what I'm thinking happened, and this is just speculation, right? What I think is happening is that Inter Miami really want Tristan Blackman. They want to solidify the backline. They want to make their team better because they're going to go on a Champions Cup run, which I will be talking about with our good friend Danny Granada of Battered Herons later tonight. Episode will drop tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that. Anyway, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to put this out there, and they're trying to I don't want to say force their hand, the Whitecaps, but they're trying to, I guess, leverage the Whitecaps into making this deal. Now, there were reports that the Whitecaps had rejected Inter Miami's first proposal, which was, I want to say, $2 million. It was low. It was too low. They had rejected it. But Inter Miami came back with a $2.5 million offer, and Michelle Kaufman reported that they had accepted it, them being the Vancouver Whitecaps. What I think happened was someone from Inter Miami reached out to Michelle Kaufman and said, hey, we're about to trade for Tristan Blackman, and put this information out, like I said, to leverage Vancouver. And Vancouver's not folding. They have a set, I think, price of $3 million, I think, is what they want for Tristan Blackman. So they're not going to sell him for anything less than $3 million. That's what I've gathered. They're not going to sell him for $2.5 million. And Miami are pretty firm at 2.5. I think that they're doing this because they're trying to cause some chaos, and they want Tristan Blackman maybe to force his way to Inter Miami, whether that's saying, I won't play for Vancouver, I want to move on. It feels like they're trying to cause some chaos. I do, however, think this deal will eventually get settled, and I do think he will be a player of Inter Miami. And it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as who's going to play, who's going to start, because they've acquired a lot of starting caliber center backs this offseason, which we'll get to another one in a little bit. And like I said, guys, it's crazy. It feels like this is an Inter Miami transfer season, but that's just kind of how things are. It just feels like, Inter Miami are just being a very, very active, and they're adding a lot of pieces this offseason. So it is what it is. I think this deal gets done. Like I said, I invited my friend Michael, who is the lead host on AFTN. He's the guy to talk to about this. Hopefully he's able to join. And if he does, we'll talk more about it when he hops on here about what's really going on. But I want to ask you guys, if they do get Tristan Blackman, would you pay $2.5 million for him? Or would you pay, I'm just going to say Tristan Blackman fee ? Would you pay $3 million, or would you would the most you would be willing to pay is the $2.5 million? I'm curious. Would you pay the $3 million for Tristan Blackman? Now, this begs another question that's important, and I'm going to talk to Danny about this tonight because a lot of people are upset, is how are they able to pay $3 million for him? I don't know what Tristan Blackman's salary is off the top of my head. I'm going to look that up actually right now as we speak, and we really need to move on to other topics because, there's so much to get to tonight. But as far as Tristan Blackman's salary in 2025, he was probably making, I want to say, let's see, Tristan Blackman was making $800,000 a year. So depending on what he would be making with Inter Miami, he could be a fringe DP player. I don't know, because you take the salary plus the transfer fee and then divide it year to year. And if it's over the threshold of a TAM player, then they'd be a DP. So I don't know if he would get a new deal if he went to Inter Miami. It's just something we're gonna have to wait and see. But this is, they are really, really pushing every single, or turning every single stone they possibly can to make this team as good as they can. So I will be interested to see how that plays out. But if they get Tristan Blackman, obviously they wouldn't get him to, he's going to start. Very interested to see why Tristan Blackman is their choice, though. That's the interesting part. I would have thought they would have rather probably went somewhere and did the loan option like they've done more recently. Now, let me check the poll real quick because I'm curious about this. Okay, so we've got 24 votes. A lot of you guys say $2.5 million is the most you'd go. $3 million is some of you say you would pay $3 million for Tristan Blackman. I think that probably $2.5 million. It wasn't Tristan Blackman the defender of the year, because it was not Jacob Glesnes. Who was the defender of the year in 2025? I've already forgot. I think it was him, right? Yeah, he was the defender of the year in 2025. So you're getting the defender of the year at center back, which is nice. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they get him. That is something to keep an eye on. There's conflicting reports. I feel like Michelle Kaufman is probably the best person when it comes to, and a lot of you say even 2 mil max would be the most because of for injuries, but they have depth. So, we'll see. Michelle Kaufman, I think, is the best that there is when it comes to Inter Miami stuff. So we'll see what happens. Okay, now this is the next one. This is another big deal. This is a lot of stuff happening right now. My good friend Favi, who is a frequent guest of the show, and his friend Alonzo have reported that Tadeo Allende is moving closer to staying with Inter Miami. Let me click on this to get a bigger, to read the full thing. The historic MLS player will look to build on his insane MLS Cup playoff run. Now, I saw a report earlier today saying that River Plate offered $3 million for 50% of Tadeo Allende's rights. And they rejected that. Celta Vigo rejected this. They rejected that offer. So if they're rejecting a $3 million 50% rights deal from River Plate, that begs the question, what is Inter Miami offering? What is Inter Miami? What is Inter Miami offering? Because if they offer more than that, he would be a DP. They can't obviously make him a DP because Tadeo Allende is not a DP quality player. You can't have a guy on your team who was a TAM player in 2025 when you won and then make him a DP. It just doesn't sit right. That's not what I would do. So he can't be a DP, and it's been reported he would likely not be a DP. So if River Plate offered $3 million for 50% of his rights, what is Inter Miami offering? That's what I'm wondering. So I have no idea. Looking like a Papa Bear. Well, I mean, I got my Oilers throwback sweater on. I think it looks pretty good. Anyway, probably $3.5 million. But if they pay $3.5 million for him, he would likely be a DP. So that's what I'm curious to see how they get this played out, unless there's some type of new rule that MLS is waiting to introduce that makes things more flexible or easier for certain teams to acquire players. But as of right now, I don't really know how they're going to be able to do this without Tadeo Allende being a designated player. That's something we'll have to see how it pans out. Now, but here's the good news. If you're an Inter Miami fan, you're getting your golden boot leader of the MLS Cup playoffs. So instead of having to rebuild the entire team, you just got one of the most important pieces to your 2025 MLS Cup success in Tadeo Allende. And you beat River Plate to keep him, which is important. I mean, I'm a little skeptical about Tadeo Allende because even as good as he was in the playoffs, he had a lot of times in the regular season when he wasn't very good or consistent. And a lot of you Miami fans know that. But, if you can keep him on a non-DP deal, I feel like you have to. Mr. says, I'm wondering if Lo Celso is still on, if the DM is Ayala. I have to pronounce his name. You guys will have to tell me how to pronounce his name. But the midfielder from the Timbers. And the forward is Allende. They could get Lo Celso as a third DP. I think they're probably going to keep that open for a big name in the summertime. We'll have to see. I'm not really sure what their plans are with that third DP spot, but I do know that they're currently not using it. And all the players they've been rumored with do not demand a DP slot, or at least that's what we know so far. But do you think Inter Miami should keep Tadeo Allende? Do you want him back is what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, I don't think most of you wouldn't want him back as a DP, but do you want Tadeo Allende back with Inter Miami, or do you think they could do better? Was it actually him, or was it the service he was getting? What do you guys think? I mean, I think you could keep him and run it back if he's not a DP, but if he was a DP, I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want him in Inter Miami if he was a DP. So we'll see. Oh, yes. Let Allende go as a non-DP 100%. Allende 100% if it's non-DP. Bring Lo Celso and Otamendi. Yes, no DP though. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. If it's not a DP contract, then 100% yes, because now he knows the system rather than spending time with a new guy. 100% keep him. Yes. If it's not a DP, who do you support in MLS? No teams that do not have a team. So yeah, I agree with that. Now, there is another Inter Miami signing. Like I said, guys, it just feels like Inter Miami. Inter Miami is by far, and even our good friend Mr. says I'd keep him as a non-DP. But guys, I'm telling you, Inter Miami's killing this offseason. They are by far having the best offseason of any team. Before we get to their next signing, we have 120 people of you in the chat, 120 people in the chat, 39 likes so far. Make sure you guys smash the like button if you haven't already. Let's try to get to 100 likes, even more. Let's try to get to 150 likes. I think we can easily do that. A lot of enthusiasm. Season's right around the corner. I think training starts either later this week or early next week. So MLS season is getting closer and closer, guys. We got all the content for you. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you guys like the stream down below and also subscribe to the channel. 360 subs away from 12,000. We're going to get there. We're going to exceed that before the new season. Okay, next signing from Inter Miami. Inter Miami has signed Brazilian defender Micael dos Santos on loan from Palmeiras. Now today Inter Miami has signed Brazilian center back Micael dos Santos from Palmeiras on a loan through the conclusion of the 2026 MLS regular season with an option to make the transfer permanent at the conclusion of the loan. The 2025-year-old left-footed defender arrives at Inter Miami after spending the 2025 season with the Brazilian powerhouse Palmeiras. We know Palmeiras is very good. During his time with the club, Micael had made 28 appearances and recorded 1 assist across all competitions. And he played in pretty much everything he possibly could. The Paulista, Libertadores, Copa do Brasil, even the Club World Cup he played. Now, he is a former Houston Dynamo center back, Micael, and he is very good. He played there in 23 and 24. I remember when he played for the Dynamo that the Dynamo fans were very upset that he left. Micael, they were very upset when he left and went to Palmeiras. And after the 2024 season, he's already made his way back to MLS after 1 season, which means, and I talked to my good friend, tactical manager, because, you know, Filippo is a huge Palmeiras fan. And he said that he wasn't as good as he should have been. He lost his spot, but that's fine. That's fine if he lost his spot. I mean, he can come here and still, and I appreciate that, Daniel, hit the like button. Yes, make sure you hit it if you haven't already. He is a good player, at least in MLS, right? He was very good for the Houston Dynamo. And you can just see the Inter Miami are building this depth. They're building this depth. They have 3 quality center backs now if things go their way. They're going to have Tristan Blackman if they can get that across the line. Micael, if they can, well, this has already been announced. And they've got Maxi Falcone. They're going to have 3 quality center backs, which begs the question if they're going to play 5 out of the back in 2026. I don't know if that's what they're planning to do, but they have a lot of quality at center back now. They signed a left back in Sergio Reguilon, and they signed Facundo Mora at right back. And they signed Dane St. Clair. So this team has drastically improved their backline and their defense. Drastically improved it. Better goalkeeper. They signed the best goalkeeper in the league. They're trying to trade for the best center back in the league, at least if you're going by award standards, the best center back in the league. They signed a younger version, well, I wouldn't call him a younger version of Jordi Alba. Sergio Reguilon is, he's not Jordi Alba, but guys, he's 10 years younger than Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba is very good in the attack, but let's be honest, his defending has vanished because he's 36 years old. He was this year. You know, Sergio Reguilon is going to have better legs. He's 10 years younger than him almost. So defensively, he'll be better. Attacking-wise, he'll be worse. Maybe the same, but probably worse. And then Facundo Mora is definitely better than Ian Frey. I think he's going to be better than Ian Frey, and he's going to be better than Chelo Wingett. I mean, why would he... A guy who was wanted by River Plate chose Inter Miami over River Plate. And yeah, Mr. says, and Noah Allen if needed. Yeah, Noah Allen was a solid center back option in 2025. I mean, he was a starting center back for Inter Miami in the MLS Cup final. And he's 6'3". This is what Inter Miami desperately needed. They needed an aerial threat. They needed someone who could win headers on these crosses. The tallest guy on the team was Sergio Busquets, 6'2", and the entire 3 years. Well, I guess Ian Frey 6'4", but Ian Frey he wasn't consistently starting the entire time the last 2 years. So they have a true aerial threat who can win duels on crosses. I think this is a good signing. This is good. I think he could be very, very good. And he was good for the Dynamo. So this is the best team he's played for in MLS, at least, right? Quality wise, didn't work out at Palmeiras, but I think he has a lot. He still could grow. I think this is a good signing, and they're solidifying their defense. Like I said, they're solidifying their defense. So we'll see what happens. This is a good signing. I think this is a very good signing. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the third. That's not even the third. Maybe the fourth. I'm telling you, Miami's going crazy. Okay. So German Garcia Grova says exclusive. David Ayala details on being Leo Messi's teammates. Inter Miami reached a preliminary agreement with Portland Timbers for 23-year-old midfielder David Ayala. Okay. David Ayala, this guy, I want to say came from Estudiantes before he went to the Portland Timbers. If I'm not mistaken, he's like 22 years old. Let me see how old he is. 23 years old. He's currently a U22 for the Portland Timbers, so I think they could acquire him on a U22 deal, even though he's I think they could acquire him on a U22 deal still, even if they're signing him with a new team. I don't think it can carry over, but they're signing him. Now, here's the interesting thing. They already have 4 U22s, or 3 U22s, excuse me. They've got Talasco Segovia, they have Matteo Salvetti, and they have Toto Alvarez. So if they sign this guy, David Ayala, they're going to have to get rid of one of the U22s. Now, someone had mentioned earlier in the stream about Talasco Segovia possibly going to Fulham. I haven't seen that rumor. I'm not discrediting it and saying it's not true. I just haven't seen it, right? So I'm not sure if that's legitimate or not. But I do think that first of all, one of these guys are going to have to go. I think it will be Toto Alvarez. Toto Alvarez hasn't done anything since he's been at Inter Miami, anything good except accumulate yellows and get reds very fast. So I think Toto Alvarez is the one that makes the most sense, and especially with the center back depth they have now with Tristan Blackman potentially and Micael, who is signed officially from Palmeiras. I think that they're going to get rid of Toto Alvarez. That's the one I think they're going to get rid of. So that makes sense. And then this guy will slide in and give them some midfield depth. Now, David Ayala I guess he's more of a defensive midfielder. I don't know if he would start for Inter Miami. I think he would compete and play next to, he would compete with Yannick Bright for minutes, not one spot next to Rodrigo de Paul. So we will see how much he plays. I think this is a good depth piece, though. This is a very, very good depth piece for Inter Miami, and it just keeps adding on. It keeps adding on. Like, this is, I said this earlier, but it's so true. This is the best offseason I've ever seen from an MLS team, especially one who just won MLS Cup. It's the best one I've seen, and I don't want to go too much into it because I'm going to talk about this with Danny, and I'm going to release the episode tomorrow, but I said this earlier. I said if Inter Miami don't win CONCACAF Champions Cup, it would be the biggest failure in MLS history. It would be. That's my opinion, right? I'll talk about that with Danny a little bit, when he comes on later, but that's just my opinion. And so we'll see what they can do in 2026, but there's a lot of expectations. This team's gotten a lot younger. This is the best step they've ever had, and I just can't wait to see what happens. Okay, let's move on to a team outside of Miami. Let's move on to the Houston Dynamo. Houston Dynamo have officially submitted a bid for a former MLS player who went to Cruz Azul, former LAFC player, Mateusz Bogusz. Negotiations underway with MLS side to sign him as a designated player. Now, a lot of people, LAFC fans, were saying, I would never sign Mateusz Bogusz as a DP, but Mateusz Bogusz was a very, very good player with LAFC. He was a U22 at the time. He was their best player at times in 2024. He was a very, very, very good player. And, I wouldn't make him a DP for LAFC, but a team like the Dynamo, who, let's be honest, have struggled. They're not as big of a club. I mean, we're just being honest. This is a good signing, in my opinion. I think having Mateusz Bogusz at the Dynamo would be a very, very good signing. And I want to say that the fee was around $6.5 million. I don't remember what Cruz Azul had spent for Mateusz Bogusz when they bought him last winter, I want to say is when they bought him. He's only 23 years old, 24 years old. They spent, let's see, $9 million. So they would be buying him for $2.5 million less than what Cruz Azul bought him in last January in 2025. Now, Mateusz Bogusz didn't play very well for Cruz Azul. It's a different league. He had 1 goal and 23 appearances in the in league play. So he struggled in 2020 the last 2 seasons he struggled for Liga MX or for Cruz Azul and Liga MX. So I think that coming back to MLS wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for him. And Mascherano coached Ayala. Well, that's interesting. Love this signing if it happens. Yeah, I would like to see some of these guys come back to Major League Soccer. Maybe he won't play for LAFC, but I do think he is worth a DP spot at the Dynamo, and it's a team that desperately needs a spark in 2026, especially after they didn't make the playoffs in 2025. They need all the help they can possibly get. So we'll see what happens with Mateusz Bogusz. Like I said, I thought he was the best player for LAFC a lot of times in 2024. And I think that they missed him, especially some of his creativity in 2025. That's one of the few things that they were missing. Okay. Now we do have some LAFC news. We have a little bit of LAFC news. Has Austin got rid of Uzuni yet? I don't think they're going to spend the money to get rid of him. Honestly, Ernest Aguilar says about $10 million, talking about the transfer fee for Mateusz Bogusz. I don't think they're going to get rid of him, Mister, because of I think they're too cheap to buy him out, because he would cost quite a bit to buy out. Okay, so next thing, LAFC have shown concrete interest, and this is from Rudy Galetti. Now, this name, I'm going to butcher the hell out of this name. Nardin Mula Husanovic. I probably butchered the hell out of that name. I'm just going to call him Mula. Now, that might not be his nickname. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe if he comes here, we'll get a correct pronunciation of his name. But we'll just call him Nardin Mula. Opening first contacts with the Bosnian striker. The American club has joined Italian and Polish sides tracking the Noah Ford, who has already scored 9 goals this season. So I want to look this guy up more. I haven't done a lot of research into this guy as far as what his background is and where he's played. But he's playing playing for Noah right now. Where's that even at? The Armenian League. So he's playing for the best team in Armenia. Oh, so that's what Noah Ford. I've never heard of a team called Noah before. It doesn't look like he's ever played in any top 5 leagues in the world. I think he might have played in the Ukrainian. No, he played in the Russian Premier League at one point. Kind of a weird background, honestly. Very, very weird background. Wonder where the hell they found this guy at for LAFC. And, you hear the 9 goals on surface. You're like, man, that's not bad. That's a pretty good start to the season. He's only got 4 goals in league play, 24 in all competitions. I mean, if he's struggling to score in the Armenian League, I don't know if he's going to really, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to be. I don't know if this is the route they need to go, because if they sign a striker, they're probably going to move Denny Bouanga to one side on the wing, and they're going to move Son Heung-min on the other side. But I don't really think that's what they need. So this is a really weird signing, honestly. This really doesn't make a lot of sense. I think LAFC really need to try to use that DP spot they have. They have a DP spot. They need to use that on a creative midfielder. I think they need to get someone who can help set up Son Heung-min and Denny Bouanga. So we'll see what they do. That's just a weird signing. I don't know. I just don't know about that. I'm trying to think of what else. There's some other things too. Let me think about this for a second. Let me look through, because there's so much, like I said, there's so much going on. There's just so much, like drinking through a fire hose. So much going on. I'm just scrolling through to look at other things that have been rumored. Okay, let's see. Laurel, I think her name is, I never pronounced her name on a stream. I think it's Fowler. It's Laurel Fowler. She said that Cincinnati is finalizing a deal to acquire winger and wingback Brian Ramirez on a $3 million transfer from LDU Quito. So they're $3 million. I think this would probably be a replacement for Oshano, who I think recently went to, was it Boca Juniors he went to? I can't remember which team I want to say he went to Boca Juniors, or that's the rumor that he's going to Boca in 2026. But they're looking for a replacement for him, if I'm not mistaken, because he plays like that right wing back where he can play on the wing as well. I would assume this would be a replacement for him. Let's see. Deal with, so it's Monterrey. He's going actually to Liga MX, not going back to Argentina. Haven't LAFC just signed Schaffelberg too? They did trade for Jacob Schaffelberg from Nashville SC. Oh my God, I forgot about that too. Sorry. That's another big thing. I need to talk about that in a second. But yeah, Cincinnati looks like they're going to be making a move for this right wing back, and like she's the best there is when it comes to Cincinnati reporting. And she says they're going to pay $3 million for this left wing back. I would assume he would be a U22 for Cincinnati. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to think of what now this was another big signing into today in MLS, and this was a free agent signing. Let me pull it up real quick because I want to make sure that I get this right. Just want to pull this up real quick on who shared this. Okay, here we go. All right, Cristian Espinoza is the new signing for Nashville SC. He arrives as a free agent from San Jose and signs a 3-year contract with an option to extend for 18 months. It's a long contract, so he's essentially almost signing like a 5-year deal with Nashville SC. Cristian Espinoza. Now, Cristian Espinoza, man, talk about an unsung hero for the San Jose Earthquakes the last, 3-4 years? 30 years old. Been with San Jose, actually 2020. God, it's hard to believe he's been there that long. He has been there for a while. God, was he there in 2019 as well? Man, he's been there for 7 years. That's crazy. I think he actually did play for Mateusz Almeida in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But 154 appearances for the Earthquakes, 31 goals in all in league competition. But I think it was his assist. Let me look up his stats real quick, because he's just been such a dynamic player on the wing. And he's been their best player, I would say, the last several years. Like, he has been the life force for this team, Cristian Espinoza, and he was a hot commodity in free agency. Yeah, he's had 63 assists in his MLS career. 63 assists on the wing, and Nashville SC desperately needed someone like him. Yeah, someone said, I wanted New York City FC to get him. This was a guy that a lot of people wanted because of how valuable he's been on a bad team. Yeah, he is assist leader of the club. Yeah. So literally any team in Major League Soccer would have wanted Cristian Espinoza. He was a hot commodity on the free agent market. And Nashville SC, which is surprising, was a team that won him. Now, I'm going to be curious if he's a DP. He was a DP for San Jose. And I would assume since Nashville SC have a DP spot open, that he would there's a chance he could have been a DP. I don't know that for sure. We'll have to wait and see what the contract details are, but I would assume that they probably had to entice him somehow. I mean, Nashville, if we're being honest, is kind of a random landing spot for him. I'm not saying it's a bad landing spot, it's just random. They probably had to entice him and pay him a little bit more money than what some of these other teams were willing to pay, and they gave him a longer deal. But this is a good deal. This is a very nice deal for Nashville SC, and I can't wait to see what he does with Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge. I think that he's going to absolutely feast. And he has been so good for a bad team for so many years that it's going to be exciting to see what he can do in 2020 and 2026 and going forward. This is a good signing. This is a really good signing for Nashville SC. Very, very good signing. I think this is one of the biggest deals in the entire cycle. I would say that Dane St. Clair's up there. Espinoza's second. I mean, it's like 1A, 1B as far as the best free agency signing in Major League Soccer this offseason. Real quick, too, before we go, someone had asked about Ali Ahmed. Let me find it real quick. How Ali Ahmed to Norwich City, which was announced a couple days ago. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so Ali Ahmed was incredible left winger for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I would say he was one of the most dangerous aspects of them in their playoff run in 2025 to get to the MLS Cup final. He was very important. He was crucial, I feel like, in that game against the San Diego FC. Very crucial. I mean, his pace was unbelievable. And they recently sold him to Norwich City. Let me try to find the transfer fee here real quick. They sold him for $2 million, 2 million euros. That is a steal for Ali Ahmed. I guess he just wanted to test himself in England. I want to say Norwich is in the championship, if I'm not mistaken. They are. They're in the championship. So second tier of England. Maybe he could have played in a little bit. I won't say it's a bad, it's obviously a good tier of soccer. I mean, a lot of people think the championship is better than Major League Soccer, but I thought maybe he would try to play somewhere else, maybe for a team in Serie A or maybe like a team in the French league or something like that. But he leaves at 25 years old. He just turned 25 years old, the Canadian international. He was very good for Vancouver, very instrumental in their success in 2025. I think that this is a player that they will miss in 2025 to a certain extent, but I expect Ryan Gauld to probably fill his spot. And they have Sabi on the right side for the Whitecaps. This was a good player. I like Ali Ahmed. I hope he can continue to grow. Maybe gets an even bigger move in 2020 and 2020 in 2027, 2028. He's going to play for the Canadian national team at the World Cup in 2026. Hopefully, Vancouver has a sell-on clause with him to where if he does sell for a certain amount, they can get more money for him. But I like Ali Ahmed. I'm sad to see him go, and I'm actually going to have my friend Michael of AFTN come on at some point and talk about the Whitecaps kind of getting rid of a lot of their guys. I mean, they got rid of Ali Ahmed. They got rid of, it looks like, maybe Tristan Blackman. There's a couple other I'm missing, I think, right now, too. Takaoka was almost going to leave. I mean, they're kind of like going through a slight rebuild, I would say. Kuvas was obviously rumored to possibly go to Liga MX's team. So, their rebuild is a little bit interesting. They did have a lot of depth, but we'll see what happens with this team going forward in 2026. But that is going to be a piece I think they do miss in 20. Yeah, Jaden Nelson got traded. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. Quakes fumbled Espinoza terribly. Yeah, it's sad. I do like Espinoza a lot. We'll see what he can do with Nashville SC, Nashville keeping surge. I think so. I don't think he wants to leave to go back to the championship. I think it's Premier League or bust for him. But guys, listen, I think that's going to do it. Listen, there's an episode dropping with Danny Granada tomorrow, Battered Herons. We're going to be talking about Inter Miami in 2026. Make sure you guys check that out. If you guys haven't already, make sure you do us a favor and like the stream down below. I think last time I checked, we were at 62 likes. Let's try to get to 100. Let's try to get more than 100. Biggest MLS channel thanks to you guys. And we're only going to keep growing because this league keeps on growing. So be a part of it. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, 370 subs away from 12,000. We are going to exceed that by the time the new season starts. And then we have the World Cup, and all bets are off. This thing is going to completely explode. Make sure you're a part of it. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. And until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.